Hi guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. Today's recipe is a quick and easy bake. We're making a delicious super moist almond butter cake or almond tea cake, which will surely take you straight back home to all the desi bakeries we miss so much. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you have never had this cake before, you need to try this as soon as possible. So let's get started with the recipe, but before that, please do consider subscribing and giving this video a big thumbs up. Coming towards the recipe, the first thing I like to do is toast whole almonds on medium-low till they're nice and fragrant. And you have to let them cool down. Now you can surely use the pre-sliced store-bought almonds, in which case you can just simply skip this part. So toasting does two things. One, it enhances the flavor, and two, it crisps them up, and that just makes it a breeze to slice. And if you have any pieces or slices that you're not happy with, simply pile them up and chop them for the crust or to put inside the cake batter, which you have to do anyway, so there's no waste. Another little thing I like to do is I measure my cake pan to see if I have enough slices. If your pan is not a non-stick one or your cakes tend to stick to the bottom, use a parchment round and then put the almonds on top, but make sure to grease it either way with lots and lots of butters. Then layer the almonds in any pattern you desire. I'm going pretty classic here. Then sprinkle the chopped almond pieces all around the cake pan for the crust till it's evenly coated. Now put that aside and let's begin with the cake batter, which comes together fairly quickly, if I must say. So for the cake batter, I have here 200 grams each of unsalted butter and fine sugar. You need the same quantity for both. Then I have 100 grams of all-purpose flour and 50 grams of almond flour, to which I'm adding half a teaspoon of salt and baking powder. Give it all a mix. Then I have 3 eggs, I have quarter cup of buttermilk or cream, and I have a teaspoon of vanilla and almond essence each. So you're going to start by whisking your butter. Make sure it's soft and make sure there are no lumps in it. Then add in your sugar and start whipping it till it's nice and pale. I like to give it a little stir before I like to go with my hand blender, because it just makes lesser mess and I don't want my counter to be all sugary. Also at this point I added the essences, both the vanilla and the almond one. It just kind of got skipped, I think, in the transition. So whisk it up. If you don't have a hand blender, you can actually use a whisk too, a handheld manual one. You have to put a lot of elbow grease to get to that state, but it's doable. Also, you might be able to skip the gym and still enjoy the cake guilt-free. Anyways, jokes apart, now once the batter is light and fluffy like this, you have to add the rest of your ingredients, but we are going to alternate with the egg and the flour. A lot of you might have heard me say this a lot. When the cake batter or any sort of a batter is as high fat as this one, you don't want to overpower it by adding all the eggs at once. So we go in batches and we do it in alternate way. The reason we tend to do it is because we don't want it to curdle. You don't want the batter to slip. So just to avoid that and just to make sure that everything goes on smooth, this is a good idea, and it, I think, doesn't even take a lot of time. And towards the end, I'm going to show you that I like to add everything together. Like I am going to add my eggs at this point, all the eggs, rather than doing it in maybe 6 different goes, alternating between the eggs and the flour. I am adding both of my eggs at this point, and once they are nicely whipped and evenly mixed in the batter, I'm adding the rest of my cream, and then I'm adding the rest of my flour. At this point, I'm gonna put my blender or my beater, or even if you're using a hand whisk, just put it to the side and give it a stir with a spoon or a spatula. Using your hand and doing it gently ensures a very moist and delicious crumb, so you're not overdoing the cake batter, and this ensures that it's going to be really delicious and luscious. Now let's come back to our cake pan. Gently add the batter to the prepared cake pan. You don't want to disturb any of that a beautiful crust that you've spent that time creating. Gently add it in batches, then smooth it out, put some more, and just keep going till it's full. This recipe, it's good for about an 9 or an 8-inch pan. Don't make it as high as I did. I did a mistake here. And if it's so high, what happens is the crust and the almonds, they tend to get super brown because the cake, of course, is going to take longer to cook. So I would recommend making this with a 9-inch pan ideally. Smooth it, push the batter towards the side so that you're not disturbing any of the almonds, as they can mix in the batter, and then you'll just you won't have that beautiful crust. And before baking it, put it on 1 or 2 layers of other trays so that the bottom is completely safe and it's not browning as quick and as fast. Bake it at 350 degrees for 35 to 45 minutes. The baking time is gonna completely depend on the size of the pan you used, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you might already know this, but the skewer, it needs to come out clean to know that it's completely baked. And then I like to take a knife and run it through the edges of the cake just to make sure that nothing is stuck. Let it sit on the counter for maybe 30 to 45 minutes or till it's cool enough to handle. Then flip it gently, tap it a little bit, and voila, you have your beautiful almond butter cake. This is what I was talking about. I used a smaller pan, and because it took longer to cook, my almonds turned a little bit more brown than ideally I would have wanted, but it tastes amazing nonetheless. So that was all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up, consider subscribing, and if you ever recreate this or any of my recipes, please do share it on Instagram. Until next time, the homemaker baker over and out.